I request all the participants to come inside. I think this, because of time constraint, we need to start before even the other participants come inside. So, strengthening role of women and youth in advancing local seat systems in Koraput is the session. And we have eminent speakers, Dr. Lavanya, Dr. Swati, Dr. Vinita, and Mr. Prashant Parida, and two of our community members, Ms. Kumkhara and Mr. Mangala Mali. I think Muni Matkami is replacing Mr. Mangala Mali. I think he or she will join shortly. We will start. I request all the speakers to be brief and then also make their points, important points in the beginning itself, so that within 10 minutes we catch the important points and then comes into the final session for plenary session. So with this, I request Dr. Lavanya to start the first presentation.
Dr. Lavanya worked as scientist at ICAR, Indian Institute of Oilseeds Research, Rajendra Nagar, Hyderabad, for over 30 years. She contributed to crop improvement of castor by releasing 15 high-yielding genotypes. Now she is attached with Food and Agriculture Organization. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you very much, and very good afternoon to all of you. I differ with my mentor, Dr. Varaprasad sir. I'll be giving the summary points at the end. I want to give it at the end, yeah. But I'll be very, very brief. Thank you for giving this opportunity. I'll just, I'm going to present it in the following outline. First two slides, I want to give an introduction, formal or informal system. I know it is redundant, but still I want to go with that. And the last two slides on participatory plant breeding program and the standard seed operating systems. In this program here, I would like to emphasize how women and youth are integrated in this system. These are the last two key points. And this is the forum, I think everyone agrees that the role of informal seed sector, I know in our ICR system, this formal and informal seed system will not be much talked about. But here there is a consensus already that the informal seed system is still operating for many of the crops, especially if you see like minor millets, more than 90%. Or yesterday, Dr. Tara Satyavati also was mentioning more than 75% in sorghum, and also the rabi sorghum, especially informal seed sector only operates. So that is the importance of the informal seed system. And as a formal plant breeder, I will be always perplexed to know that we are operating with a very genetically diverse population. Especially we may start with the land races or farmers varieties which are genetically diverse. Then after 6 to 7 or 8 generations, we come up with a very genetically uniform elite lines. So what happens to the land races which we are starting with? Now everyone is talking about the land races, which are the rich sources. Earlier it is even now used as a rich source or donors for many of the characters, starting from biotic to abiotic stresses, quality, many of the parameters. These are the rich sources. And it will be very surprising to know that all the formal crop improvement programs started with selections or direct selections from the local populations and released directly as varieties. Many of the, most all the crops we have several examples. And if you see the case of land races in rice, there are around 84 of 232 land races. They found already that they are having the blast resistant genes either with a single resistant gene or in combination among 232 rice land races. So this is the recent development, and several land races, they have several utility or already established. In rice around 314 are there, and in brinjal, surprisingly vegetable crop, there are 16 land races. It is found in the western Ghats of Karnataka. And the major problem with the land races is that they have selected with they have the unique or farmer preferred traits, and mainly the major threat to land races is the genetic erosion, either due to loss of the crop variety or loss of the genetic diversity itself within the land races. So maybe there may be several reasons for the loss of genetic diversity in the land races. But the two major constraints which we found is that lack of proper mechanisms for direct release and the seed production. These are the two major contributors, I feel, and this formed the pretext for, or it is the base for the landmark initiatives from the government of Odisha. These are the two major landmark initiatives. I found that developing a standard operating procedures for seed system of land races. Under this Sri Anna Abhiyan under the guidance of Dr. Varaprasad sir and many more people, getting the standard operating procedures and then formulating a land race varietal release committee itself. That itself is a big or a major achievement for land races crops, and I think this is the major achievement. Though there may be several release of varieties following this. Already 4 ragi millet varieties, finger millet varieties are already released in Odisha for Koraput and Malkangiri. But more than that, constitution of a land race variety release committee itself, I think, is the major breakthrough in the land races system. And that itself forms the support for many other crops. I think this will be followed in many other crops. We look forward to that. And once the land races are released, what happens to it? How the seed has to be maintained? So there needs to be a support system. With that objective, the FAO program has come up, technical cooperation program has come up with the project on support for quality seed systems, mainly for community managed seed systems in Odisha and other rain-fed areas. So this is in collaboration with the DAFE government of Odisha, and right now the main aim is to support the foreign breeders and seed keepers, particularly women farmers. In the identified communities and crop diversity blocks from 3 districts, Koraput, Bargar and Mayurbhanj. And here the emphasis will be on implementing the existing standard operating procedures for land races and extend the plant breeding activities to the land races. In non-millet crops like rice, Niger and brinjal. Right now we have identified 3 crops in which we will be operating. But the main idea is to give the inputs or the skills of plant breeding to the local breeders and especially women breeders. And there are several approaches we are identifying to follow in a participatory plant breeding approach. But among them, I would like to emphasize the second point, to identify simple, reliable, heritable plant traits and their linkage with the post-harvest quality traits. I think the major crux of the problem lies in identifying the traits itself. Once the traits are identified, what are the traits to be carried forward in the land races? And is there any connection with the farmer preferred quality traits? These things, if they are identified, that half of the problem will be solved. And to maintain the genetic purity, and then several other procedures will be followed. And one major aspect here I would like to stress is in the case of traits. We have a beautiful system of documentation of morphological traits in all the crops. We have from the germplasm unit, and we have from the plant breeders angle, and from the DUS characters. So 3 systems are operated in the formal system thanks to our PPV FRA group, Dr. Dipal Rai Chaudhary, there have been very good pictorial description of the characters, very detailed characterization has been done in majority of the crops. And for plant breeders, it is mostly the economic traits that is more important. Whereas for a germplasm person, it is the germplasm itself or collection of the germplasm as it is, and then record the documentation. So to have a combination of these three units will be the major problem, the major task in this project. I feel that will be very interesting, and then it will be good for any person to initiate the work on participatory plant breeding. Like if you see the case of kodo millet, there is a character like leaf juncture pigmentation. This type of characters can be done very easily by women farmers. Other characters may be there, but the characters related to color, and then the appearance of the panicle, the spikelet arrangement on the rachis, and the irregular rows, and the gloom, all these are specific characters which can be easily identified by the women farmers. And in the case of brinjal, which we are going to work, there are several very good characters on the fruit characters itself. Many of the fruit shapes, whether the shape itself is very distinct, and whether these shapes have any linkage with the trait, the taste or the cooking quality. These things can be very easily identified by the women farmers. I think their keen eye is very important for these morphological traits, and this will be very important, especially in case of brinjal. I told this fruit shape and all, and in the case of Niger, the leaf shape, seed size, shape, and color. These are the things which are very important in these crops. And if you see the standard operating protocols, in CVRC or SVRC, that is Central Variety Release Committee or State Variety Released Varieties, the main idea is to maintain the genetic purity. Whereas in the case of land races, in addition to genetical purity, not losing its initial genetic diversity is the crux. So to have a balance between the genetic purity and the genetic diversity, that is more important. And for that, we have to document all the characters in the original land races population. So that will be can be easily done by the women farmers. That's what the idea behind giving this lecture in this session. And here I would like to emphasize that in the case of fixing the protocols in many other land races, seed production standard operating procedures, we need to take into consideration the homogeneous primary seed, because in SOP we have a primary seed and a secondary seed in a very heterozygous background. So as to retain the genetic diversity of the original land race. So here you can see the classification in the case of released variety, where we have a nucleus seed, breeder seed, foundation seed, and certified. Whereas in case of land races, we have only primary and secondary. Where there is a relaxation of genetic purity up to 98%. So this 2% relaxation in genetic purity, whether it will have any impact on the next generation, maybe after 5 or 6 generations, whether anything will happen. So these things have to be taken into consideration. And this also should be formed based on the fixation of the heritable and non-heritable traits by going through the progeny row trials. And while developing the SOPs, the very task is to have a very detailed documentation of several traits, either heritable, they may be in a homozygous state or in a heterozygous dominant state, and partially heritable traits, especially like characters like quality. Sometimes they may be varying with the soil conditions or the climatic or the geographic conditions, which can be, but these can be very effortlessly identified by the women farmers and young people. The detailed documentation, definitely young people have a role to play. So main aim is to have a selection with the dominant traits in the foreground, while all the other traits can be maintained as a background for maintaining the genetic diversity of the population. So in this approach, what we are identifying is to identify at least key women farmers to impart these PPB skills by identifying traits through documentation in progeny row trials for 2 years. Then use this, selected traits will be used by the women farmers for selection, purification, evaluation in the MLTs, either for the release or their local use. This idea is this work should continue even though whether the project is there or not. The women farmers should be empowered with the the skills of identifying or the skill of identifying the suitable varieties with the suitable traits. And one more task is that in the maintaining the primary seed, one idea is that in primary and secondary seed right now in SOPs, to monitor the genetic purity and genetic diversity in the primary and secondary seed stages itself. So for this, we have to ensure that women farmers are there in the monitoring committees also, so that will continue the activity in the seed production activity. So with this idea, the TCP project will reiterates a gendered approach to PPB in GAHS for continuation of the local agrobiodiversity. And here I would like to stress upon one point Mr. Prabodh Mohanty yesterday has mentioned about why you have to have different seed policies for formal and informal sector. Why not have a common policy? For land races especially, I feel the necessity of having a policy right now. This is the right time where we have a land race variety evaluation committee separately for identifying the varieties from the land races. So the emphasis will continue at least for maybe next 5 to 10 years. The land races, once they can the program is strengthened, then they can compete with the other formal sector released varieties. I think the emphasis should continue for the land race variety release committee, the released varieties. Thank you and all. I think I've maintained the time.
Dr. Swati Naik, representing International Rice Research Institute, South Asia lead for seed system and product management. Swati's work entails enhancing breeding impact by delivery of genetic gain in farmers' field and positioning right product in market segments. She holds prestigious title of Norman E. Borlaug Field Award winner for 2023.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to congratulate MSSRF and entire team for your 100 years of contributions to agriculture research and development sector, and the 30 years of rich history in Odisha through this very center, Tribal Agrodiversity Center, and all the co-organizers, FAO, Government of Odisha, DAFE, for taking up this very pertinent subject for this national consultation. And it's heartening to see significant number of critical seed system stakeholders gathering over here. And as the topic of our session goes by, highlighting and glancing through the role of women and youth in seed system, I will be particularly focusing based on some of the work and experiences of ours in the rice-based system. Primarily how important or how is it possible to engage women and youth in farming sector in leveraging different opportunities in the seed system. If I talk about particularly in Odisha, the data itself says that how strongly women in farm households are involved in different agriculture activities as lead cultivators, but also as agriculture workforce or labor. So this is a state where we do find a significant involvement or engagement of women farmers in different activities, what we do. And when I come to particularly highlighting about the seed system interventions, traditionally we know that women are called as the custodians of seed, and we know that even through their traditional knowledge, they are the conservators at their household level, at community level, storing, selecting, cleaning, all those, know-hows have been lying with them for centuries or time immemorial. And when we talk about especially youth, we know that we are marching towards an era where we are looking at different innovative approaches, tools, technology, taking over or easing out different operations, be it artificial intelligence, be it digital innovations of different kinds. And youth can form as an asset how to leverage those kind of things. And they are also known to be the risk takers. And in the context where we do see that a significant number of out migration from agricultural occupation, we do have different associated opportunities to engage or keep engaging youth, to give them, significant, to raise their significant interest in this sector, and seed can be one of the avenues, to be precise. And when we talk about local seed system, let's also look at the data that apart from our formal seed system, we have a high dependency on farmer managed seed system for different crops, especially for the staple food crops, and that is going to stay, and we cannot ignore, and there has to be a coexistence for different reasons. And while we talk about this, the local seed system, but we also accept some of the challenges or the limitations in terms of limited access, lack of formal recognitions, or different, best model to ensure that, they are getting their due in this whole process, the local communities, and also how do we unleash the enterprising opportunities around this. So in absence of some of the regulatory frameworks and the boundaries which we would like to have it, and some of the lack in the market linkages and etc. So when we specifically talk about unleashing the opportunities around the local seed system, especially to open up the window of seed enterprise and potential business, some of the critical pillars which I can highlight is, first is that we must have an continuous access to genetically pure seeds, or what we call basic seeds, to ensure that what we are growing, scaling, producing, or positioning as a product is of good quality, and also having quality production and processing facilities, as well as having some kind of standardization in quality assurance, whatever alternative mechanism or the mainstream mechanisms are available. And of course, see it at a scale, like when we talk about livelihood, income generation and profit, and a tangible impact measurement, scale is very important, and hence engaging with or assessing the potential marketable scale is something which we need to also see. And we do see that through our different pilots across South Asia, with, I would say a non-commercial crop like even rice, we have seen that a lot of, farmer producer-led seed enterprises have shown viability in terms of business potential, and we have seen they are doing well if enough handholding support, market linkage, technical capacity building supports are provided in a timely manner. And we all know that seed, being the genetic repository of any crop or or plant, it only adds to our total cost of cultivation to maybe 3 to 5%. If I specifically talk about OPBs and staple food crops, but same time its standalone contribution to the productivity enhancement is quite large as a factor of production, and we need to respect this fact, and we can unleash a lot of potential, and this would remain as a very critical input as well as a product, what we say, because it operates in a very niche market which has high value, and there remains an opportunity to see the enterprise aspects of it. And when we do these things, different aspects where we can thoroughly engage our women farmers, young entrepreneurs in the community could be different, pillars or components of seed system innovations. They can be engaged very thoroughly in product evaluations. When I say product, let me specify that I'm talking about any germplasm or variety over here. And when I talking about the market perspective or something, I say that there are, different competitive products existing. And when we talk about diversity perspective, it is okay to have a significant number of products. But when I talk about a farmer who wants to become a seed entrepreneur, he or she needs to know that which is the one which will give its marketable, surplus to the, to the grower or to the person who is using it. So identifying that one, evaluating those marketable or market preferred traits is very also important. And so that could encompass the consumer preferences, the millers, the farmers as a consumer, direct consumer, or the growers of the seeds, but also as the consumer who would be eating the staple or associated products out of those, grown varieties and etc. And the advancement in the seed chain, then the capacity development throughout the seed production process, but also not limiting ourselves to the low-hanging fruits, but going beyond that to the value chain activities possibly, and also seeing that enabling policy catalyzation where the voice of these stakeholders matters to make it a more participatory approach. And we would definitely need to create a significant information about the varietal intelligence in terms of which are those value-added traits which is saleable and scalable. So we may have a significant number of plant races, but do we have enough data to characterize whether some of those have high value traits, like in terms of aroma, in terms of medicinal property, in terms of low glycemic index, or any kind of those things that is futuristic and that can create value. So we also need data and evidence to be able to position and convince our stakeholders across the seed and value chain to be able to. So engaging with this process is also very important, and all the stakeholders, starting from the women farmers or young farmers or the community groups, having that access to those information and understanding is also very important. And it is not only the job with the for the scientists. And at the same time, having understanding about the regulatory mechanisms of these things, like how do they license it, how do they assure the quality, where to market, how to price, how to decide the pricing framework over there. These are some of the skills, soft skills, or very rigorous, strong market related skills that often lacks in our different capacity building frameworks. We often tend to overtly focus on different technical aspects of it, which probably good and required, but at the same time these kind of skill-based trainings and capacity is also increasingly becoming important for, especially when it comes to the women and community groups in the seed sector. And as I was highlighting, let's not focus on, when we talk about unleashing enterprise opportunities over, let's not talk about only production technology. Go beyond that. They lack skill and information on the regulatory framework and how to do those things. And they lack also the information of sourcing basic seeds or purity maintenance and all those aspects. So how can we ensure? If it is a high yielding variety, maybe we can connect with the breeding sources and etc. But if it is a land race and high value landers, how do we create localized system, in situ conservation, and purification processes and all those things, and as well as how do we create different alternative models of business, like there could be a very robust farmer producer organization who can be mobilized or made self-sustainable in terms of having their own branding, packaging, processing mechanism to sell the seed, but not each of the FPOs would be in that position or should not venture into doing entire value chain activities altogether, because we need to also see the viability, the benefit cost ratio for them, at what stage of investments they are into and what risk they can take. So in that context, can they become the growers or the aggregators or any kind of a supply chain actor in the processes, and how can we connect different stakeholders in the value chain? So let's evaluate where, at what stage they are into getting into this domain, so that we do not sound like over glorifying the opportunity, but also meticulously or carefully assessing the associated risks and opportunity together. And these are some of the examples that where we have seen that, lot of farmer producer organizations led by women especially have flourished in India, Bangladesh, Nepal, and in different areas in South Asia, where we have been working consistently around empowering them through the seed business and enterprise opportunities. If I particularly come to Odisha, and when I look at how many registered rice land races are there in the state gene bank, and we have seen that, these are the collections. Basically, I was just going through some of the collections and data, and we are trying to actually characterize some of these, varieties to have a robust data and evidence. And we have seen, and there are also other crops like millets and pulses and etc. I'm just showing the data of rice, that how many of them have been identified and registered in the name of the, the host farmer with whom these have been collected and under the PPBRF. And at the same time, these are supposed, Yeah, so and we have these potential seed networks in terms of many vibrant FPO densities across. And if especially I talk about Koraput, you can see that we have significant number of farmer producer collectives, but at the same time a significant collections and opportunities over here to work together, align with the interests of it. And but let's also talk about how we see this opportunity just beyond as a single product or commodity as a seed. Let's talk about cropping system approach. Let's talk about at the system level. And we still see in a district like Koraput there remains significant opportunities to diversify and bring in different cropping systems, including pulses, oilseed, tubers, fruits and vegetables. And when we come to this, shifting from traditional cereal based approach like our millets and rice, seed is going to be very critical and more critical, because we know that establishing seed chain for these crops and etc., having purity and all those things, it has remained a systemic challenges. And we will be getting more opportunity over here to also to create these opportunities and creating knowledge materials which are gender friendly, community friendly, contextual, developed in the local language and local context are very important. Sometimes the scripts, the text heavy training materials or the way we impart our trainings and programs can be too heavy for our local farmers and etc. But a pictorial visualization of different technical steps in a more simplified manner to absorb the knowledge within that is always easy. So establishing those kind of knowledge materials, engaging community to lead this process is also very important. And lastly, I'm just trying to give some of the examples where we have seen, particularly we have been working across different states in India, Bangladesh, Nepal and etc. These are some of the examples where successful women farmer producer led seed businesses are flourishing and doing really well, where a lot of things have to be done. It needs to be scaled up, more institutions has to be built in. But yes, we have been seeing a lot of success stories and cases to be inspired, as well as engaging different youth in conservation, in making seed businesses and flourishing in the seed sector has been also established through different cases. And we all see there are opportunities, and there is some of the key success factors would be like how do we bridge the gap between demand and supply, have a very robust market intelligence system, and as well as a business plan and capital management systems if we want to really engage with this. And yes, these are all I have already discussed, and with this I would like to conclude my presentations. And to stress out, we all know I am taking some of the quotes from Professor Swaminathan, and how he has emphasized that women are critical pillars, especially in seed conservation and conserving our flora and fauna. And yes, so there remains a significant opportunity. This is a win-win for everyone if we engage women and youth in seed system. So thank you very much.
Our next speaker is Vinita Kumari, Deputy Director. She is heading the Managed Center for Gender in Agriculture, Food and Nutrition Security, Urban Farming. Her area of specialization include gender empowerment, gender studies, women in agriculture, community nutrition, food and nutrition security, and urban agriculture.
A very good morning to the chair of this plenary session, my other panel speakers, and all the distinguished delegates, and my dear women farmers and farmers. As this session talks about role of women and youth in strengthening seed system, and so here we are trying to find out what role women has, and youth who are also one of the very strong future contributors of agriculture, how they can play a vital role in the seed system. So as we all are here to recognize and celebrate the status of Koraput as being identified as geographically important agriculture heritage system. So I would give a credit to the women farmers also of Koraput who have brought Koraput at this GIHS status, because if women contribution, significant contribution wouldn't have been there, then I don't think that Koraput would be have able to get that status. And we have so many women farmers representing here, like we have Raimati, we have Kamala Pujari, and so many such women farmers who are here who have been a part of the different panels sessions, and they are there here in the exhibitions, they are here with their seed collections here. So I think that itself is a reflection what role women are playing in the local seed system. So Koraput is an example which we are celebrating here today. So as we know that women, we regard them as the custodians of seed systems, and youth is also another dimension which we have to deliberate over in this session. So we all know that youth are, that's a challenge for agriculture in general. Considering seed system in particular, that youth are not so inclined towards agriculture, and so the challenge is how to retain the youth in agriculture, because they are looking for some more lucrative opportunities. But as we know that in agriculture also, we are very much exploiting all the digital tools, all the artificial intelligence, and all these different dimensions of new or innovative agriculture technologies. So youth are the right community, right group of people who can be roped in to make the maximum use of these type of artificial intelligence, digital tools, applications through which they can support the local seed system, because we also know that women are major contributors of agriculture in general, and when we talk about seed system in particular, they have immense role in that, but they have limited digital knowledge, they have limited literacy in digital literacy and other managerial aspects. So I think when the youth work together with the women farmers in supporting them, in assisting and facilitating them in these aspects where they are still left behind. So that is one way where women and youth together can work together in helping women are rich in traditional and knowledge, indigenous knowledge. Youth are more skilled and knowledgeable in these modern tools, modern applications. So I think that will be a perfect combination of women and youth supporting each other in strengthening the local food seed system. So, but we also know that women farmers in general, they work under different constraints, different challenges due to the gender, different dimensions, issues that are there, like credit and finance support is one of the major challenges that women face. So all these women farmers who are working at a very conventional way, in a very informal way, and operating at a very local level, they can be brought to the next level, and they can perform, they can move beyond their local level only if they have proper credit and financial support. Like we have the FPO system, women producers organizations. So there are a couple of many such women FPOs. So these type of financial mechanism institutions that are already in place in the community, we need to support the women so that they perform at in that level, and in that they need a lot of credit. But land ownership, as we all know, that is a major issue, that where only 13% of the land is owned by women farmers, either independently or as a joint owner. So that becomes a major challenge. Why? Because they are not considered, regarded as a women farmers in first place, and because of this they are missing out many opportunities in scaling up their practices as an entrepreneurial level or also to go beyond their local community level. So that is where we need to support them, and many such organizations who are working with some of these women are able to rise, but as we know, there are 80% of the women farmers across India who are contributing in this role, but they do not have those many supporting agencies that can work with every 80% women farmers across India. So this is where at the very micro level we need to have such support system for them so that their role can be further enhanced and strengthened. Is one policy decision, as we all know that there are a lot of lacunas, gaps in the policy also that excludes women from several opportunities, benefits sharing. Yesterday also we were talking about benefit sharing of the seed system. So, but when we talk about the seeds, benefit sharing of the seed system, do we talk it in gender terms also? That is very important because nowadays gender budgeting has become a very important aspect. Last week only we conducted 2 training programs on gender budgeting for Ministry of Women and Child Development under Mission Shakti. So under Mission Shakti, Women and Child Development, they want to strengthen the concept of gender budgeting because there are schemes, there are programs, there are policies, laws, regulations, but do they address gender aspect in that? Within that, that is very important. Otherwise, if we don't look at it from the gender lens, gender budgeting has to happen so that the benefit sharing is proportionately, I don't say equally, it has to flow proportionately. That is what gender equity looks at. The women should get a major share because they are still far, far behind the male farmers. So this is where, when we talk of gender, this benefit sharing, we have to have data disaggregated by gender. So how it is for men and women within the local seed system also. Yesterday also there was a presentation, I don't remember, where some study was being talked about, where in that study they had taken composition of this percentage of respondents, 70% male respondent versus 30% female respondent. So, see, this is again a intentional, unintentional bias in terms of selection of the respondents also. Because we all acknowledging, we are all recognizing the contribution of women in the seed system. But when we come to the, even the research study, we are ending up with 70% male respondent versus 30% female respondent. Whereas it should be the other way. 30% male respondent, 70% female respondent. Because we were, in that study, we were trying to identify the challenges. What are the challenges and other aspects? So women should have been the major respondent in that. So we are intentionally, unintentionally, we are ending up in biasness in different dimensions, different aspects, which I just observed yesterday. Likewise, when we are doing this type of things, we have to look into who are the major contributors, what are their specific roles, male and female roles in the seed system also, so that our approach, our things should be directed in that dimension, and also capacity building and institutional support needs to be in that perspective. What role men and women in the local seed system are playing, what are the specific needs of men farmers, specific needs of women farmers in the local seed system, and accordingly our capacity building approach, our institutional support and other policy response, gender responsive policy, and all these dimensions should flow with respect to specific needs, roles and contributions of men and women. Then only we can further strengthen the role of women in a local seed system. And now coming to the other important future, we call it the futuristic scope of local seed system, that is the youth. So these youth are more inclined, they are skilled in as digital tools. So I think that is the right area where we need to rope these youths towards in involving them in innovations, blockchain technology, AI-driven seed quality assessment, digital seed markets, creating a digital portal, some web portal where all
2
these
minutes.
indigenous seed varieties, traits, their characteristics, and all such things are brought into one data portal. So that's it is easy accessible to everyone and anyone. So the youth can be the right segment to capture here because we have all moved to the digitalization, and that is where we need to
Can you conclude
focus
in
on.
2 minutes?
Sure, sir. We have such like examples from our Telangana, the Deccan Development Society, how women can contribute or have been the custodians of the seed system. So here also we see that a Deccan Development Society where these women moved from being a very localized women collectives to a global figure representation now. So they have been representing in different countries. So this is the role. So the point here is that role of women has to be represented at the wider level. We have Raimati here, we have Kamala Pujari here, but there are so many Raimatis and Kamala Pujari across India, but they are not known figures. Nobody has recognized their contributions. So we need that such institution support, such a mechanism where many these 80-70%, maybe at least 30-40% also should be given that recognition, so they themselves become a ripple effect. They will create so many such Raimatis and Kamala Pujari. If such women are being highlighted, they have been represented at the national, at the international level, so they will further strengthen the women collectives, the women youths within them. So we have such examples from youth also, like Beej Mitra of Karnataka, which is a blockchain driven technology. They have used these type of things for the digitalization of seed related informations on a digital platform. And everybody might be knowing about the Kutumbashree, that what role Kutumbashree is playing in Kerala through women collectives, how they have empowered the women community, and it has become so popular that they have several initiatives in the seed conservation. They have played a significant role there also through different things, but due to paucity of time, I will be just skipping all these things. So they have a joint liability groups for seed production, and they receive these financial and technical support for seed cultivation. And also the point is that women need some support system, and that support system should come from the family, and it's not only the institutional support, there is a community and the family support. So I personally believe that family support is the first and the starting point from where women has to be strengthened to play a key role in agriculture or local seed system. So family support is very important, followed by community and neighborhood support, and then it percolates to the top level. And so once they are supported, enabled, facilitated, definitely we have so many such examples, what we are celebrating here with these empowered women groups here today. And a lot of research and institutions also needs to be there. Data, as we are talking about, data gap is there. Yes, there is lot of data gap, gender data gap, gender evidence gap. So we need to fill this data gap, evidence gender gap through appropriate research, through appropriate gender approach, so that we are talking about gender responsive policy. That gender responsive policy will not come unless we have sufficient adequate data to convince the policymakers to tell them with facts and figures that what is the status. Otherwise, no policymakers will be convinced and will be ready to make any modifications unless they see that what is there at the grassroots level in terms of facts and figures. So these are some of the things that we need to learn from Kutumbashree, Deccan Development Society, and such empowered women who have contributed significantly in the seed system. And we need to integrate these traditional practices with modern innovations, which have been deliberating since yesterday, that there should be a mix of or a balance of these things. So that also needs to be there. And finally, we have to give recognition. That is, recognition should come from the family, from the community, and then at the larger level, not only just some institutional level, but a non-institutional like our family and community also, so that they feel that they are the contributors. Otherwise, the major thing is that women, they are contributing, but they themselves, they don't have self-recognition. Women themselves don't recognize themselves that they are contributing in what way to the community, in what way they are impacting the society. They themselves are unaware of it. So that sense of self-realization we need to inculcate in the women farmers, so that they understand their own importance. They don't know their own importance until somebody else makes them understand through these recognitions and awards, unless they don't know what great impact they are creating to the agriculture community. So I think these things are some of the important points which I would like to highlight here. Thank you.
Next speaker is Prashant Kumar Parida. He is the Director of Tribal Agrobiodiversity Center of Hema Swaminathan Research Foundation. He has more than 20 years of experience in working with the tribal communities on biodiversity conservation, sustainable livelihood, and seed systems.
Thank you, Chair, for giving me this opportunity, and I also thanks the delegates and participants present here, and my farmer friends present here. I'm going to focus on gender responsive actions in millet supply chain, MSSRP experience in Koraput region. So, actually, role of tribal women in millet cultivation, consumption, and processing in Koraput. We can see there are lots of discussions also going on since yesterday. We see that most of the part of the cultivation process of millets are around over 70%, not around over 75%. That work of millet cultivation is undertaken by women only. You can see there are some example of photos I have given here. Very few work is done by male participants, like land development and other harvesting in harvesting technology. Rest of the work women used to focus on that. But there is a shift now. We are seeing that there is a shift after technology went to the farmers. Some of the improved technology, like I'm giving an example that earlier when they used to follow the traditional technology, traditional farming system, there in millet especially, when they used to broadcast the millet in the field, and that is a huge drudgery prone area in weeding case for the women, and women only used to do weeding. Then we have seen in 1 acre of land weeding for that 30 to 35 women labor days used to be consumed. So when technology came, there is a shift to men. They adopted the system of millet intensification and line transplanting, and then cycle weeder was used. So that at this stage, male farmers engaged in that, and they helped in weeding system. So the time poverty of women now shifted to men only. So earlier around 90% work was done by women only. So there is a reduction in drudgery, and women involvement is reduced. So we can say around 75% work is done by women. Seed selection, seed collection, purification, cleaning, storage, all those activities we have already discussed on it. So I am coming to the voices of the tribal women in millet context. So the major voice from the field we used to get from the women is declining access to the diverse and quality seeds. So day by day, they use their priority area is traditional varieties of millets. In case of millet, I am telling. So other crops are there, but their priority area is that. But access to that diverse varieties and quality seeds is limited. It is declining day by day. So that is the major area they are facing. Maybe one or two varieties they are having and they are cultivating, but they don't have priority area and preference. Though the preference has to be created in this case. Then drudgery in manual processing of millet, especially little millet and foxtail millet. We have taken a case. You have seen the photograph how they manually process it, and we have taken a case of little millet. Processing manually 1 kg of little millet took 1 hour 20 minutes. We recorded the time. So that is the major concern they are facing, and that is the major concern also that is removed from their daily diet. Though finger millet they are having the practice of using that finger millet, but little millet, foxtail millet gradually reduced in their daily diet because of this processing constraint. So processing facility in the village level is still to be reached to them. So that is another issue. So there is a major drudgery they are facing. Then enhancing income opportunities through millets. That is the opportunity should be created so that they can get their livelihood from the millets, and they can depend on their livelihood through millets. I am coming to this community millet farming systems in Koraput agroecology. We have custodian women farmers, and they are empowered as millet farm facilitators. So if you are telling about custodian women farmers, sometimes they are not at present they are not custodian. So how many years they will be called as custodians? Because custodian farmers, the terminology we are using, that since a long years they are preserving and conserving, but without any incentive, can it be sustainable? That can we think that they will continue this preservation and conservation system for a long without any incentives to them? Why they will conserve? Why they will continue that conserving this system? So that is a bigger question we are having now. And coming to the millet farms facilitators, this is a I'm coming to the next slide and come back again to this. This is a slide I am going to emphasize on. Millet farm facilitators is co-developed with IIMR, MSSRF Koraput, MSSRF Koli Hills. Together we implemented this system, and this is a proven system. We can say that millet farm facilitators, how they changed the entire scenario of millet cultivation. Always we can see that there is a project, and once we are giving them technology, we are giving them many trainings and systems also we are giving. But once the project is over, again we cannot see the process they are taking up further. So if you can see the extension services, even if government system, the government extension services, we cannot expect that that services can reach to every corner of the farmers, every corner of the village. Suppose taking the example of KBKs in the district level, how they can reach to the rural people, to the household level of rural people. That is also there is a constraint. There is so that constraint is there. They cannot reach to each farm families, even if other agricultural extension services also. So they are not able to reach to the particular farm families. So these millet farm facilitators, they can operate from the village level, they can reach to the farmers, they can give the handhold support, organize on-farm demonstrations, and they can give the technology to them. They can, even if we give the extension services to the people, even if we, availability of seeds and other agro materials and information, access to government schemes, all those things from through them it can go to the farm families. So this is the resources whatever available that can also go through them to the farm families. So the services whatever available with the systems, even the government systems and the private systems, whatever may be. So to reach them with the technology, millet farm facilitator play a key role here. So coming back to this slides, so we are talking about formal and informal seed system. So sometimes formal seed system has also limitations, and informal seed system also has limitations. So we are now coming up with the alternative seed system model. So this alternative seed system model, I will come later in detail to that model, how it can address both formal and informal seed system, and it can also be sustainable, and it is a community managed millet farming system. It can divert, it can be a driver to that system. So it has to be linked to seed banks. How this, suppose there is a seed production system, many varieties are there, so they can be the driver to link to seed community seed bank system, then creating processing facilities and creating market system. All those can be that supply chain. This supply chain can be established through the help of millet farm facilitators. So coming to the seed bank. So community seed bank, we are also talking from since yesterday also. It's purely managed and maintained by community, and they maintain the local genetic diversity also. They provide pure quality seeds to the required farmers, and they even if they used to see the storage of seeds and gene purity and assistance to they assist it to farmers with a low interest rate. The farmers can get the seeds at their doorsteps without depending on outer sources. So coming to the technology interventions, already we have discussed on different technology. As I told, there is a sustainable seed production technology we are following here. So MSc sir is more focusing on more on it, like taking forward to the farmers the system of millet intensification, and with integrated nutrition management, integrated pest management system, following their organic practices. So use of improved farm implements, all those things we are intervening with the farmers. So I am coming to this alternative seed system model. This model can be a sustainable model, and MSc sir can take this model to even if other areas of Odisha. We have already, this is a proven model in Koraput, and we have seen it works well because the farmers producer company, the women self-help groups, farmers and CBOs, they are linked to farmers producer company, and farmers producer company are engaged in seed production technology through participatory selection of varieties and preferable varieties, and producing quality seeds of those varieties, then giving to other farmers and linking to even a government seed system like states seed corporation. So they are also participating with providing certificate seeds and other seeds, and we are talking about producing quality seeds of land races or farmers varieties. How these farmers varieties also can be certified and it can be linked to Parmal seed system, we have to look into.
Yeah, please conclude
And,
in 2 minutes.
Yeah, I will conclude within maybe another 2 slides only. So processing facilities of this is a Machra case. We have created these processing facilities of all the suppose finger millet, millet, postal millet, of all the processing of all the millets can be possible, and they are doing that, and that is they are supplying those seeds and grains and processing and value-added products also to others. So I'm coming to this empowering women collectives. We are working on that. We have created farmers producer organizations. Most of the women are participating in their organization, like in Kola Farmers Producer Company, over 200 women are participating in that. And Bamandi Farmers Producer Company, Dr. Raimati is leading that farmers producer company. They are participating with the government of Odisha Odisha Millet Mission program also. And there is another Kachla Agro Producer Company. They are participating within this. So I am coming to this back to this slide because this is the system where community managed seed systems in agroecology, instead of only millet farm facilitators, we can think of creating farm facilitators of other crops also. It's not only millet, this system can also work for other crops. So this is the major system, community managed seed system. We can establish it, and with that this can be the sustainable seed system. And IMR is also following this practice. They have started, so this can be the exemplary system for others. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah.
सबको नमस्कार
कुमा खरे
मोर नाम अछि दोना बोय
that is changed, sorry. Okay.
मोर नाम अछि दोना बोय मोर गांव अछि मचरा हमें से देसी मांडिया में चिलिका मांडिया नहीं बाटी मांडिया ए बड़ मांडिया ए से बड़ मांडिया से बड़ केड़ता से निनी मांडिया आमे सब देसी मांडिया करिकी आमे बियन देउचु तापर बियन देकी आगरे बुणी देउतिलु आगरे बुणी देकी घास बेसी होतिला उडर चलो नतिलु कि नाही आगरे उडर चलो नतिलु एबे उडर चलेकी निजे कष्ट करिकी आगे 10 जण 20 जण लागि कि भी केते घास बाचुतिलु एबे उडर चलेले किछि घास नतिला किछि नाही एबे हमकु कष्ट लागु नाही आगरे बुणी देउतिलु अंबळ नतिला एबे सार देकी आमी लगौचु आमे आबे अंबळ हेले केते बियने कररे देउचु आई से बाटी मांडिया ये बड़ मांडिया से निनी मांडिया सब किछि देकी आमे आगरे 10 टंका 20 टंका बिकी देउतिलु एबे 50 टंका रे बिकी देउतिलु आगरे आमे केते कष्ट पड़ी की नेउतिलु आमे केते बुई की केते नेबार टाउन रे केते बिकी की नेउतिलु एबे आमे बियने कररे देउचु बियने कररे देउचु कायबा पई रखुचु आगे सेते के बिक्री उन्नतिला अंबड़ उन्नतिला बोली हम बियन रे दउ नतिलु कि किछि नाही आमे खाइबा पई रखी की बिक्री कर नतिलु एबे बियन रे दउचु आमे मंडी रे दउचु आउ से बड़ बड़ मुड़ केड काटी की बियन रे रखुचु आउ से पिलका मांडिया रखी की आमे खाइबा टी रखुचु से मुड़ मांडिया देई की बियन रे दउचु बियन कर रे दउचु आमे एबे 50 टंका रे बिकुचु आगरे किछि बिकु नतिलु कि हम खाइबा को भी मिलु नतिला आगे बेले गेसी घास होतिला एबे उडर चलौचु निजे कष्ट पडुचु एबे हम कष्ट पडवा को हो नतिला समीनाथ ऑफिसर बाबू मन उडर गुटे तोर देलारु आमे निजे निजे बनेई की एबे उडर चलौचु उडर चलैले सेते घास हो नतिला एबे 2 एकर 3 एकर एंती आमे अंबड़ करूचु बेसी अंबड़ हेले आमे बियने कररे देउचु खाउचु कि मिल अछि मिल रे भी ऑर्डर कले फोन कले देउचु मिलिंग करी की कि आम माँ मन को भी निजे निजे शिखलु अबे किए बुणा करूना रुआ करुँच बुणु नथिले आगे सब बुणी देउतिले बुणी देते किसी अम्बड़ होता 2 क्विंटाल 3 क्विंटाल होता एवं बोली कहले बेसी अम्बड़ होची खाइबा रखुंट बिकला लोक बिकुंट 50 टंकार आगरे बोली कहले एमती सब कष्ट पड़ुले एवं सबू माँ मन किए भी बुणा करूना आमर मछरारे सबू रुआ करिकी उडर चलैकी निजे कष्ट पड़ी उडर करिकी ये करूँ आर एबे टिके भलरे एमती अम्बड़ होची आमती हमको माँ मन शिखेलारू आम निजे देशी मांडिया सब देशी मांडिया निजे रखुचु खाऊचु एमती रखिकी आम एबे से बेसी अम्बड़ हेलारू माँ बाबू मन शिखाइलारू एबे से देशी मांडिया आम बियन रे रखुचु सबको मोर नमस्कार।
So, she's Donna Bhoi. Actually, earlier the name was there, that farmer has not come. So, she's Donna Bhoi from Machra village. She's telling earlier we are always following the traditional broadcasting method. Now, we learned how to follow the line transplanting and SMI system, and that helps us using the weeders, and that is easily we are controlling the weeds. It is helping a lot, and this is also helping in enhancing the production. Earlier the production was very low, like she told 3 to 4 quintal only, and they are now getting more yield out of it. And the best part is that they are following the seed production technology. They have learned in that. So the mother panicle they are collecting for seed, and they are selling the seeds with 50 rupees per kg to others. Even if many NGOs are also taking seeds from them, and other agencies are also taking, so they are getting good benefit out of it. Again, the rest of the part of the plant, the grains they are consuming, and surplus they are selling through mandi. So that is also they are getting good price out of it. So she is happy to say this, they are getting benefits out of it. Thanks, Dana. Yeah, Muni Madkami. I must introduce Muni Madkami. Muni Madkami is from Malkanagiri, belongs to Koya community, and she is participating last 2 years in comprehensive rice fallow management system. So she will tell her experience here.
समस्त को नमस्कार। मो नाम मुनि माडकामी, मालकानगिरी जिला पड़िया ब्लॉक कालदापाली जीपी गाँव हूँ कुर्ती। मु गोटे कया झील मु आगे करुली चाष कम बापा सहित दान चाष पनीपरिया चाष ए सबू बापाठू शिखिली किछि किछि करुली। आते बेले स्वामीनाथन संस्था टू एग्रीकल्चर डिपार्टमेंट रु मु पाइली जे एमती एमती बिहन आसी बोलिकी जिते बेले मो मीटिंग को गली सेते बेले शुणिली जे मुग बिरी खरा टाइम रे चाष करले कौन उन्नति हम बोलिकी सेठी शुणिकी मु बहुत खुशी हो गली। आउ गाँ को गली फास्ट मो बापा को कहली बापा बापा मु शुणिकी आसिली एग्रीकल्चर डिपार्टमेंट रु एमती एमती बिहन आसी आमे काली पनीपरिया चाष धान चाष करुचु एबे ट्राई करवा जे मुग बिरी करिकी देखिवा कौन होउछि बोलिकी तापरे बापा को कहवारु बापा राजी हो गले। 5 वर्ष मो गोटे 5 एकर करिछि आ लोकन को भी बुझेला परे 30 एकर करबा पय बाहरिले एते बोल एनी किंतु आमे बिकितिलु गोटे 40,000 टका को बिकी देतिलु। 40,000 बिकिकी तापरे लोक खुशी हो गले जे मु गोटे झील होइकी तिली एबे मु गोटे बहु होइकी कहूछि झील होइकी घरे तिली गोटे झील खरी फारिब कि झील सत कहूछि ना मिछ कहूछि लोक से कथा कहले मु निजे करिवि देखिएबि तापरे आपण माने विश्वास करो कि न करो तापरे मु भी खुशी रे तापरे गाँ को बुझेली एसएचजी माँ मानू घरे घरे जाइकी बुझेला परे केतेटा एसएचजी माँ बुझिला परे से माने भी करबा पाए बाहरिले मु भी करिछि आ नेक्स्ट वर्ष आउ तरे बाहरिले माँ माने गत वर्ष जा किछि किछि करिकी आमे भी फाइलु बोलिकी आउ सेकेंड वर्ष 50 एकर जमी करबा पाए बाहरी गले तापरे बाहरिले सेतरे मु भी फाइली केते 80,000 निजे करिकी आ माँ माने भी करिले सास काम करिकी पनीपरिया चाष धान चाष बादाम चाष मुग बिरी ए सब करिकी बहुत खुशी रे हेबे माँ माने भी बहुत खुशी रे अछंती मु ए सब काम सिखेली खाली ए दान ए सब नाय मु सिखौतिली ऑर्गेनिक क्लस्टर विषय रे जियाकत निमस्त्र यज्ञस्त्र ब्राह्मस्त्र आंडीकत ए सब कौन फाई बोले आमे सब किणिकी खाई लगेवा निजे घरे आमे पनीपरिया पिंगी दउछु आमर ओडिया सब अच्छी गोटे जगार गदा करिकी आमे ए सब करिकी आमे यूज करिवा ए सब शिखेला परे माँ माने शिखिले तापरे से माने भी करिवा पाई राजी हे गले आ मोर गोटे आशा अछि जे मु आम एरिया पाई जेतिकी पनीपरिया चाष कि ए सब मुग बिरी धान चाष बिकी दउछंती आउ किनिबा पाई कष्ट होउछि ए सब जदि गोटे जगार माँ माने जदि रोकिथिबे आ नेक्स्ट वर्ष पाई से माननको काम देई पारिबो सेपरि मोर गोटे आशा रखिकी आसिली क्लस्टर करबा पाई माँ माननको ए सब करिकी देखेबा पाई एतिकी कहिबे
Thank you, Muni. For kind information of this platform, I can say that Muni Madkami recently has been awarded as a best farmer by Government of Odisha. So for her work, this is the extension services she is doing. She is a graduate, in, especially in tribal communities from that area. You can find very few people completing the graduation, and she came forward, and as she expressed that, she told her father that I will involve in this cropping system and agriculture system, and I will teach others. And that was she inspired other farm families, even if she started with 30 acres in the first year. Next year, then other farmers, 50 years they continued, and they got good benefit out of it. And she is telling 2 years back she got 40,000 from 5 acres of land converted into comprehensive rice pulse management pulses, and last year she got 80,000. So this is the trend is going, and she is telling that after marriage she took it as a challenge. Why I cannot do this? So that is the challenge she took, and she inspired other communities. So we can give a big hand so that. Thanks.
Thank you, Prashantji. I think now we have, 1 o'clock we finished as per request. So we finished it. Just only few points I would like to make. Overall, the session has been very good, excellent presentations by each one of you. But I see that there is a National Institute on Women in Agriculture, which how to take that also into our platform and use it for the increasing the role of women. Since there is a National Institute meant for that in ICR, I think we should bring them. Yeah, Central Institute. So that we should take it into consideration. And Dr. Vinita, I think you have made a very good presentation. I request that whether managers can come up with a business model, what you are suggesting, including women and youth, and also develop a program exclusively for Koraput situation. And then only for this situation you include, and then also educate on the business model that you are, and test it in this region along with the other partners. So kindly do that. And your presentation is excellent. And then I think in the rice is Odisha is a heaven for land races. So I think we should really take it forward and we should use it, not restricting to the improved varieties. Dr. Lavanya, FAO has really very carefully has selected 3 districts and also 3 crops very strategically, 1 cereal crop, 1 vegetable for nutrition and 1 tribal crop. These 3 crops they have taken, and in this project with Government of Odisha, we look forward for a good demonstration of seed productions in the region, and that should become a model for replication for the future. Thank you. And then Prashantji, your rich experience in the region is very helpful, and I think we should take it forward. But as I told Madam Ji, that we have the best microbiologist team in MSSRF. I will tell you nationally, because the reason is our agricultural microbiology is ignored in the ICR system. And there is a handful of institutes only left where they can do some good work. And I see that when we have worked with Arvindji, the Koraput has a special microbiome, which is extremely rich, and for reasons known to God, they are still conserved. They are not, we have not lost that soil microbiome. So seed microbiome, soil microbiome, gut microbiome, the MSSRF headquarters should invest some resources here along with others. Already we have the German project from Vijay Kumarji has given a project for the MSSRF, and that I think we will explore that. Why not it should be extended not only for AP, why not in Koraput? I think I will talk to sir and then we will take it forward. And I am grateful for both of the, thank you sir. Actually, now you remind me of Swaminathan sir, because in the IRI auditorium when he was there, I used to listen to him. Out of 300 people, almost everybody's name he remembers. Everybody's name he remembers. And while coming out, a security person also by name he will tell him. By name he will tell him, how are you? So this kind of, sorry for the mistake from the organizer's side for wrong name, but you are really a simple person at your level, mingling with the culture and tradition of this Odisha here, and I am sure that Odisha will be a outstanding example globally for land races to take together. The steps that you have taken, they are very forward steps. It will take time to absorb for the other people. It will take time. But the seed production should be taken forward, all the 4 land races, whatever have been released, and I am very sure while doing this, women should get right place, youth should get right place in the seed production with a proper guidelines. Thank you very much for this opportunity to the organizers.
I request Chair to provide a token of appreciation to all the panelists. Yeah, Dr. Lavanya, I request Chair to give. Munni ticket. Binita Kumari. Next to Dr. Binita Kumari.